It's been like a whole new scene that's busted out in the last 15 years with artists like Gary Clark Jr. and Tedeschi Trucks and the Wood Brothers. So like a whole new thing happening, which is pretty exciting.
It's the Blues Rock Show with Pete Francis.
Welcome to the Blues Rock Show. I'm Pete Francis. Today our guests are Meghan and Dave from Bywater Call. They've got a new album coming out, Shepherd, on August 9th. How's it going?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So we're in Omaha, Nebraska right now. It's the Playing with Fire Festival. You're out of Toronto. So how did the band originally come about?
Dave and I have been playing together for quite a long time, but we have been working in cover bands. And we a few things happened. We got to the point where we really felt to maintain our kind of love for performing, we needed to start writing our own material. And I think we were just listening to the right music at the right time, and we were really inspired by a lot of the bands that were doing like kind of retro soul and roots and blues, bands like Tedeschi Trucks and Amy Winehouse and Sharon Jones and Marcus King maybe at the time, and the Wood Brothers. So we were listening to a bunch of stuff that we found really inspiring. So we just kind of started to take upon ourselves to get it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely felt that Tedeschi Trucks influenced the first time I heard your music.
Yeah.
Big fans.
Big time, yeah. They're such a great group. And like kind of for us, sort of the torchbearers of like the whole the blues revolution that's gone on in the last 15 years, which I think a lot of people aren't even aware of. Like they think blues music is a very classic sound, which is a great sound and definitely where so many of these great artists come from. But it's been like a whole new scene that's busted out in the last 15 years with artists like Gary Clark Jr. and Tedeschi Trucks and the Wood Brothers. So like a whole new thing happening, which is pretty exciting. How
big of an influence is Derrik Trucks on your playing?
Huge, very huge. So up until I don't even know until the Revelator record came out, I'd never played slide. I was studying like jazz, bebop guitar, and yeah, I heard Derrik stuff, and I was like, I got to try to figure some of this out, as I think so many guitarists do. Still, no one can hold a candle to him. He's the best, but yeah, definitely a huge inspiration.
So if I'm correct, last year you played in 10 different countries. Is that correct?
At least, yeah. If I wrote that somewhere, that's probably
Sounds
true.
right.
Yeah.
So I guess what inspired all the travel and getting around the world?
I mean, just the opportunities we've been given, I guess. We've been touring in Europe. Most of those countries come from Europe. Like when you're out there touring, you could be in Germany one day, the Netherlands the next, France the next day. It's, everything's so much closer.
I think they're going with the France now, too.
They are going with the France. Good.
France,
okay.
yeah.
Awesome. So a lot of that country count comes from Europe, which we started touring there in 2020. And been there a bunch of times, and the audiences are great. They're very receptive to new music and enthusiastic, and we've seen growth there. And then we started touring in the States. We got hooked up with a booking agency and started touring in the States for the first time at the very end of 2022, and have been having a great time kind of banging our way around at least the mid to eastern part of the country. So, yeah.
What are the best and worst parts about touring?
Oh, wow. I mean, the best part is that you're literally self-actualizing your life. We're doing, I can't imagine any job more fun than being a touring musician. I guess the worst would be, as everyone would agree, the actual, reality of travel is very much on us. Like we move around in a converted school bus, no air conditioning, no beds. Our drive yesterday was from Toronto to Burlington, Iowa. It was 13 hours of straight driving in a hot bus, stuff like that. I mean, that wears on you. I guess you're away from home a lot it's not as big of a deal for us, but I think for the guys in the band, yeah, best and worst. Totally worth it. That's just the short answer.
What about you, Meghan?
Oh, I was letting Dave speak for both of us. I mean, it's pretty amazing to see, to go to all these places far from home and to have people coming out to see you specifically. That's amazing to see the reach through touring, and that you're kind of bringing people on board. And the worst, the kind of just the logistics of it for sure. And then sometimes, they can't all be winners. So just dealing with, some of the gigs that just aren't working or not letting that really get you down. There's gonna be a bum gig now and then.
Well, Bywater Call is definitely gaining a lot of fans right now. How would you describe your sound if someone had never heard you before?
It's so difficult to describe what we do. But I would say, when I describe it, I say Southern soul, roots rock. But there's so much more in it. Like the whole band is jazz influenced. They all went to school for jazz. Obviously, like all of this music, it's very blues influenced. And then we have like a bit of a funk component here. We definitely have like gospel and New Orleans second line influences in the band. So it's kind of a mishmash of, I think, warm sound influences that we get, that we kind of incorporate into the music. That's not a very succinct way of describing what we do, but yeah.
Where did the name Bywater Call come from?
So Meg and I would travel a lot to New Orleans, and there is Frenchman Street in New Orleans, which is sort of like the mecca for, at least for tourists, for all the great original music that's being made. There's Bourbon Street, which is a little bit more touristy, but there's Frenchman Street, which is very great musicians play there. Right beside that, there is a neighborhood called the Bywater, so we would often Airbnb that area. And when we started, we were Bywater Blues, but we decided we didn't want to necessarily be solely recognized as a blues band, because we do incorporate so many different things. So we dropped the blues, and then, not musically, but we dropped the name. And we changed to Call, just like the desire to go down to Bywater and be part of that scene.
Cool. New album coming out August 9th, Shepherd. What can you tell us about that?
We're pretty excited about it. It's the album is completely self-produced and recorded, which is an exciting project for us. And we're really happy with what we're putting out there. We've released a bunch of it, but we have a few more tunes to put out there when the full album comes out. But it's a mix of, we dug a bit more into, we were talking about the Wood Brothers, we were digging a bit more into this kind of more rootsy sound in a bunch of the tunes. The last track is a tune that we've been playing for years and just didn't feel ready to record, called Sign of Peace, but we decided now was the time, and we incorporated a whole like second line brass band moment into the beginning of it. There's lots of little surprises and ups and downs, and I don't know, I feel like the album is a bit of the human experience, you know? Yeah.
With a 7-piece band, how do you go about the songwriting?
I usually start with a chord progression, and then Meg and I will flesh out some sort of a melody, some lyrical structure. We need to have some kind of a framework, and then we'll bring it in to the other guys and get them to start adding their parts, and then we start editing as a team, like what's working, what's not working, sections that are too long or things that repeat too often. So it's definitely a whole 7-piece, team effort writing, but it starts with Meg and I think, typically.
Yeah.
Some started with John.
Yeah, John, our keyboard player, who's the newest member in the band, brought a couple of the tunes from the new album to us, which he let us kind of work with and mold a bit. Yeah. It's great.
So what's next for you guys?
Romania next week.
That's true. Yeah, Romania for the first time. That's
to the list of countries.
We're excited for the album to come out, so a lot, trying to get it out there and get it in front of more people. Just a lot of touring in the U.S. for the rest of the summer, some festivals in Canada, and then we head back to Europe in October, where we'll be doing our usual. We're hitting up Germany and Netherlands and Belgium, and then we'll also be doing the UK for a couple weeks.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the new album. I've heard it already. It's great.
Thank you.
So go check it out. Shepherd comes out on August 9th. And that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Blues Rock Show. For Bywater Call, I'm Pete Francis. We'll see you next time.